Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Monday, 31st of January, 2022. Welcome to Hindsight, episode 26, where we learn to be a better trader. We're going to take a look at the stocks that I've traded today intraday, why I've traded them, what went well, what went wrong, and what could be done better. So today, thankfully, was a pretty good day, focused on two stocks. There was a third, and that was the IPO from Friday that was stonking, but really I just ended up flat and broke even on that one, so nothing too interesting there. I was really focusing on these two because I had an announcement and they were both quite liquid. First things first, IGO. I was talking about this on the weekend. Here is their revenues from 2017 through to 2020. For some reason didn't include the 21 numbers. That's fine. And so really it was all about IGO's market capitalization. As you can see, it's gone from about 6 billion roughly to about 10, pulled back to 9. And what we need is a strong financial result in order to justify this market cap swing. I didn't see it. I thought it was a pretty flat announcement. So for me, I had a short bias all day long. And we can see how it ended up intraday. So interesting candle formation today on the daily, but really I was focused about the 1 minute. I was surprised it gapped up on that announcement, but it is what it is. Matched it short because I had a very strong conviction on the short here to the downside based on the fundamentals. So shorted about 80% here, and then took 2 or 3 minutes later, took another short here when I saw that there was absolutely no buy strength whatsoever. It shot down, and I was looking at this setup here and closed it out at the swing to the upside. Now I was thinking there's two options of what to do here, and this is before it sort of broke out. And do I want to add on at VWAP, or do I want to close it out and then reopen? And for me, I felt it was safer to just close out and reopen. I saved a couple of ticks. It probably wasn't worth it, but ultimately, just in case things go wrong and things start swinging back to the upside for whatever reason. I know it's unlikely because we've broken VWAP with such strength, and coming back at 10:30 and reversing through VWAP is pretty unlikely. But waited, saw the dip down, saw the move back up and rejection, and it was at this point here that I started shorting again. And just the fact that I couldn't get above VWAP with any serious conviction. There was a bit of a trend line here, added on short here as well. So I was trying to find any excuse to get short. It was a little bit concerning seeing this sort of retest here, but that was fine. Came back to VWAP, and really it was about the stop loss would have been above this level here. So I didn't want to see, clearly get through VWAP and swing to the upside. So that was the idea behind that trade. So I let it go short, all the way down, and was looking at this setup here. And I wanted a technical reason to close out. I didn't want to just, take profits because, hey, look, it's fallen. So it wasn't just like, just take profits anywhere here. It was waiting, this setup here, dump, consolidate, looking like it could go again. But decided to swing to the upside, closed out some of the position here, and then waited for it to form a new high and see what was going to happen. See if it would just be a little bit of a dead cat bounce or not. Looked like it was going to be. Held up, swung back up to the upside, and closed out the remainder of the short at this level here before VWAP again. Didn't want to play with the VWAP. Could have reopened the short, but it was around 2 o'clock, and what am I going to do at 2 o'clock when the stock's already tanked enough? It hasn't really quite done its 80-cent full range that I was expecting. It's done about, I think it was about 50, I don't even know, from around 12. Yeah, 50 cents for the range for the day. So swing it back up at 2 o'clock. What am I going to do at VWAP at 2 o'clock? Nothing really. So that was the trade for the day. Really, there's nothing to do at VWAP at 2 o'clock. So, there is some short potential here to make a few ticks. Wasn't worth my time. Wasn't interested. Took the bulk of the move, so I was pretty happy. Next one is ANN here. We got Answer Limited. Here's why it sold off. Here's the announcement, basically. So the guidance update from 125 to 145 compared to 175 to 195. So roughly somewhere in the ballpark of about 20 cents, just off the top of my head. Quick maths. So ANN, we have this downwards move. It's instantly a match short unless there's a massive wall somewhere here on the bid. So there was none. Took it short and just scalped it, really. Saw that there was a 24 level being reloaded. It was subtle, and it was only maybe a couple of thousand shares at a time, but it was there and enough to get me sort of interested that, hey, 24 might be a level. Couldn't close it out in time, had it swing back up, and I thought, okay, well, this is going to be my stop, pretty much just above the opening range. And because it's a large denomination stock, $25, it's highly volatile. It's got quite a bit of spread to it. So yeah, VWAP, didn't give a shit about VWAP today. Just broke right through, up, down, didn't care about it whatsoever today. So thankfully on the swing back down, started closing it out around this level here. And I just wanted no part of it anymore. I didn't know what to do with it. It came back down to 24. So I changed my mind. There's a few variables behind this decision, and the first one is that this has tanked about 22% at this point in time. So if we bring up the daily, 22% is a lot for a company that's sitting at around 4 billion market cap. So for me, when something gaps down this hard on something that's considered a mid cap, I want to look for some strength to gap fill. No, not necessarily gap fill, but to head towards the gap fill. So what we have back in the 1 minute chart, take off the VWAP. So we see strength at 24, and as you can see, it wicks up and down a little bit, and there's clearly some buying pressure to keep it back up. It was at this point in time where it failed and it just wicked straight back up. Took a long position here, and I was like, right, I want to see this breakout and swing to the upside. I want to get this long position, see what I can do with a trend line like this. And it just failed, and I was like, right, break even. I'm not going to mess with this until I really see confirmation. Yeah, that was like a bit of a gamble trade. I mean, it was safe risk to reward wise, but you know, there was no breakout, there was no confirmation, and whatever, it came back down, broke even. That's fine. And then I just waited a little bit longer, and then I was looking at this setup here, and then of course the only reason I looked at this was because there was an extra data point, basically, is the only reason that I considered this trend line relevant, more so than the trend line from this candle here. So saw it doing this really interesting sort of just consolidation here. It's like really tightening, and I was like, okay, the idea behind this trade is I got my idea for a long position, right? I want this to be bullish, try and head towards that gap fill after a significant sell-off. So there's the idea of having a really tight stop loss, building a long position on these candles here, and having a super tight stop loss. And if the idea fails, then it fails, you know, because it could very well just start swinging back to the downside. But the strength at 24 and then the gap down, the significance of the gap down, had me interested in a long position. So took the long. I didn't even look at this as a trend line here. I was interested once this popped. That looked more significant to me, looked relevant. And then the next key level is this horizontal here. Now, I didn't bother waiting for this. I know exactly what happens on high denomination stocks. I've traded them so much with Afterpay, with XRO. I know exactly the kind of bullshit that happens on these high denom stocks. And the only way I deal with it is to just let it go. So got my long position. The stop loss was still at this level here. I was willing to take a little bit of a hit. That's fine. It's only a few cents, and let it just go for the day. So that was the plan. Worked out quite well. I set the stop loss, went and made breakfast, got a coffee, and just didn't look at it, because I know looking at this is just going to be my worst enemy. Like, I know myself well enough to know that I would get spooked potentially by this candle here, this red candle. It tries to break out, boom, comes back down. I probably would have reacted to that. I would have at least scaled out a little bit. But I let it go. And it's a good thing that I let it go, because just the angle of this momentum, I know it's not very technically sound, right? But the angle and the trajectory of this was just so strong that I was like, okay, I'll just pull out my phone and make sure that I'm not deep in the red or anything like that, and just watch the stock. And you know, I'm not going to run from the kitchen to here while I've got eggs cooking. So, you know, I've got my stop losses in place. So I just kind of watch it, and it starts, you know, channeling to the upside. And then again, just like IGO, I need a technical reason to close out. So for me, it was like we keep getting higher highs, and we keep getting higher lows. Now, my idea was that when we start getting lower lows, I'm out straight away. So the only time we really see it in this entire upswing is around here. So scaled out here. And by scaled out, sorry, I mean the entire position, but not all at once, just scaling it out in this range here at around 26.20 or whatever it was. So got a pretty nice entry from here at around 24.50 to 26.20. And I just called it a day for this one. You know, there was no test of VWAP or anything like that. And yeah, probably should have caught this upswing as well. Missed out. I was busy doing other things, so I did miss out on this one, unfortunately. However, I did tweet out the timing for 2:30 reversal about 2 hours beforehand. So around 12:30, I said, look, there's going to be, give or take 5 minutes, there's going to be a reversal at 2:30 p.m. So it's a nice little timing for a stock that trends to the upside with this much strength all day. 2:30 is a fantastic little timing, give or take 5 minutes. So let's take a look at exactly where 2:30 is. So here's the 2:30 mark. Let's give it 5 minutes on either side. And this is the kind of range where I just look at shorting. I'd look for a justification for the reversal in this sort of time period. And then it's just a matter of like, look for a trend line, look for the breakdown. So it did come a little bit later. I guess you could say the start of the reversal occurred just a couple of minutes before that timing. So either way, broke down, got the short, and yeah, just rode it for most of the day. I can't even remember where I closed it out, to be honest. I think it might have been, yeah, it was a little bit earlier, somewhere in this range here. So scavenged maybe 50-60 cents out of it. And look, this 2:30 timing isn't like the death of the stock or anything like that. The idea behind the 2:30 timing is that we have an immensely strong uptrending stock, and then it's just a matter of taking profits. I think at 2:30, I don't know why people decide to sell off, but it's a nice timing when a stock is just doing this, right? Just straight up with so much strength. I mean, that's from $24 to $27.50. It's a pretty big move for a mid cap. And yeah, so 2:30 is a good timing. Catch a short. That's what I prefer to do. Works out for me, but only when a stock is really in an upswing and holding its highs, then the 2:30 timing is something I find that works for me. And that's pretty much it, guys. If you found anything useful at all, please do consider hitting that like and sub button. I'd appreciate that a lot. Otherwise, catch you guys next time.